Whenever you see technical demonstrations, there's often work being done in the computer terminal. And this seems a little bit like magic, it looks like science fiction, or it looks very advanced. Now, I'm going to show you here briefly that it's no different than navigating your machine and performing commands using the graphical user interface. The commands that we will be working with are primarily those that you would perform in any type of graphical file exploration program. Within the Mac environment, this is the Finder utility. And as you can see here, I am within the path inside of my machine. And this is one of the things that it's important to get a good mental model of, is how is your information structure or arranged, organized within your machine. As you can see here in this specific example on my machine, I have here the hard drive, I then have users, and then I am at my folder. If I was to move up and down this structure, you would see it change. And I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And you can see there that we're now at Able. And if I go into it, we're now inside of these folders. Now, if I go ahead and move to the desktop, you can see there that it is empty because I don't have anything on the desktop. So right now, at the moment, I am at /users able, which is the default directory on a default configuration for a Macintosh computer. And now I'm going to go ahead and open up the terminal, the one that I mentioned that looks a little bit like magic. So I'm going to go ahead and open that next, and I will simply type terminal. And as you can see here, the terminal default settings is pretty small. We can hardly see the font. So I'm going to navigate to preferences, and I'm going to choose something more colorful, more like what you usually see in a movie. And then I'm going to change the font size to something pretty big so we can see it. I will choose 36. And now that I close it, I will make it default. And so this is not my default configuration. And if I create a new terminal, let me go ahead and exit from this one. But I will make a new terminal window, and you can see now that we have this gigantic window that has a blinking cursor. So I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bit smaller so we can see everything here on the screen. And go ahead and scroll up. And you might have noticed that I have below here a number of commands. And those commands correspond to what you might normally want to do in a file system. Look at where you are. That would be pwd, current directory. This is the directory that you would move to or change directory, list your files, and so on. So let's go ahead and clear the screen, and let's see where we are. I will enter pwd, and you can see there that I am at /users/able, which is the exact same location that I have on the right-hand side window on the graphical user interface to my file system on my machine. Now I'm going to go ahead and enter the next command. Well, actually, before I look at my directory or I change my directory, I will enter ls, and this will list the files for me. I'm going to go ahead and hit return, and you can see there that I have applications, I have desktop, documents, and so on. And I have the same thing on the right-hand side. It's just a different way of looking at your files. So the next thing that I will do is I will change my directory. I will move into desktop, and you can see there that I have done so. And if I look at my working directory, you can see now that it's desktop. If I look at my files, you can see that I have none because I do not have any files on my directory. Now, the next thing that we may want to do is we may want to create a directory, and I'm going to go ahead and do that using make directory, and I will call it sample. And once I do, you can see that sample has shown up over here on my desktop. If I open it up, it's empty. We've just created it. If I move into sample, which I can now because it exists, you'll see there that there's still no files. If I do this, you can see that's just simply a different listing of the files. That makes no difference here because we have no files, but I'll show you that in a minute once we move up. And you can see also that we can navigate backwards up the hierarchy by entering ... And within the convention of the terminal environment, single dot refers to your current directory. and double dot refers to the one above. So if I were to do this, you can see here that I have the contents of the directory listed, and I'm giving more information than previously. I'm going to go ahead and make the window a little smaller just to get back to where we were. So as you can see, we can navigate up the directory structure, down a certain path within that tree. We can look at our files, and there's many more things you can do, but this is simply a small illustration. It's also important when it comes to writing configuration files, or if you're pointing to a resource in a machine, be it a text file or an image, it's important to understand how you navigate that path, how do you construct those paths. One more thing I'm going to show you is you can look at the contents of a file, and I have created here a hello.txt. If I enter the command more and hello, you'll see there that I have hello world, and that is the content of that file, which I created simply to demonstrate that we can. So here it is, the terminal command window. As you can see, it is not magic. It is very similar to what you do in your graphical environment. You can, of course, do what a lot of other programs do in your desktop. You can write programs, you can do many other things and execute them from this command line. But this is simply a small introduction to get you comfortable with what the terminal window is, to get you a little bit of insight as to how the information is structured within your machine, and to hook on to that knowledge that you already have. You have used file explorers, you have used finders to navigate your file system. You doing it within the terminal command window is the same. You just have to type in the commands.